So, hi, Benoit. I'm Sarah from the
Hi.
upcoming. Real pleasure to be able to speak to you today. Maybe you could just kick off with a brief introduction to Mother's Instinct for people who don't
Yes.
know anything about the film. What can they expect?
For me, this is like I would like the film to be like a family story, to start a real suburban family story in the 1960s in New Jersey. Two neighbors, two houses next to each other, divided by a hedge, two garden, communicating. And it's two women, Celine and Alice, having they both have one child, they all have one lonely child, like a young boy around 9 years old, and the two boys are very good friends. The two women, Alice and Celine, are the best friend. They have two perfect husbands who go to work every day. Two women is in 60s, they don't work, they take care, they spend their time, taking care of their child, taking the child to school, waiting for them to come back all day, and all their life is around their house and their child. They don't work. Film starts as a perfect, kind of perfect life, very symmetrical. The two houses, and it seems quite balanced, perfect. And one drama, one of the son dies by accident, one day, and suddenly, of course, this balance is completely destroyed, and the relationship between the two women becomes quite complex. I mean, Celine lost her son, so she is devastated. Her life, it seems like she not being able to keep going. And Jessica has this kind of incredible. Jessica has Alice has this incredible guilt. She has seen the boy in the dangerous position. She tried to stop him. She tried to get him to go back, down the balcony, and she tried to warn Celine, and it's too late. She arrives too late. So she kind of she feels guilty. She could have been stopping this accident before it happened, and this kind of I guess this guilt is going to in a way to develop a kind of paranoia, slowly, and kind of she feels a kind of old mental health issue she had in the past, starts to kicking again. It's a very, very strange, balance between these two women, of course, and film is about that, the relationship between the two women and how one woman lost her child and the other one still has her child, and how they can still live next to each other, with incredible loss on one side and guilt on the other side. So it's about mother's instinct in the real way, like mother's instinct being, a mother should protect her son or her child as far as possible, do anything to protect your child, and also maybe it can go too far, being mother instinct can develop some kind of also mental issue. You want to protect your son so much, your son can't even live, you know? This is what Jessica is doing with her son, in the film. And I would say a mother without a son, suddenly she has such an incredible gap in her life, and how can she live without her son? So it's a film trying to talk about this, and in the same way, so it's kind of a real story, like an intimate story about two women, and also it develops a structure of a thriller as it goes. But I don't want to see this coming, I want this to feel like a family drama. And the thriller kicks in slowly and gradually, that's what, in kind of Hitchcockian way, But I would like the film to start like a family story, you know.
And I understand it's based on a Belgian film from 2018. And of course, even though you've worked in film a long time, principally as a cinematographer, this is your first time directing. So what was it about this story, this setting, these characters, which you thought this is the film I want to be at the helm of?
I was given this film very late to direct, and so at the beginning, the director of the Belgium film was supposed to make his own remake. That was the first plan, and I was supposed just to be the cinematographer of the film. So that was the first configuration. I went there to shoot the film as a DOP, and the Belgian director was there, and things didn't go well for him. Something happened. He had to go back, and 3 days before the official start of the film, we had lost our director. And so the two actresses, Anne and Jessica, asked me, Benoit, you're already the DP, you know the setting, you know us, because I knew Anne and Jessica since many years from previous movie we did together. They really, I guess they trust me quite a lot, and they thought, oh, you could direct this film too. Because I like the story a lot. I like the settings. I like this to make a film in the 60s, but these two women, I thought I was born in the 60s, I can relate to this life, to this kind of life. Because I knew the two actresses mainly, I thought I can jump. I can jump to go in also in the director's seat because we already have this trust together. So it's not going to be like working with actors I did not know. We had this kind of strong trust between us. So I thought it's a simple story. It's not too many characters. I thought I could control this quite well, and I wanted the film to be very controlled, and I wanted the shot to be very controlled, very kind of neat. I didn't want to make this. I've done film as a DP. I've done film very complex and with a lot of camera movement and big crowd scenes. But I thought for a first film as a director, I wanted to focus on the acting. I thought this is what something I have to learn. So I thought with only like a few characters, these two family living side by side, no big set. I thought I would be able to make it, and I was not intimidated by you know what I mean. I thought I can relate to that story. I don't have to be someone I'm not.
And I guess it's very clear your background in cinematography from just how stunning the whole film looks and how impeccably the era is evoked, every single detail. But not just to be aesthetically pleasing, but it's also kind of conjuring all those aspects of, 1960s suburbia, perhaps that feeling of claustrophobia, the idea of having to have this facade, to be this perfect wife, create this perfect home, have a perfect family, and how that can create a dissonance, in the minds of women in that time, where, that might not be the reality they're living through. So how important was the way the whole film looked to telling your story?
Well, I mean, obviously, I wanted the film to be very real to the 60s. And as I said, I was born in the early 60s, so not in America, in France, but I think I could relate to how my mother was and, my parents were, and I like the fact the 60s, there is a big idea of modernity, in general, for clothes, for design. It's a moment when people, I guess many countries in the world, you have this feeling, oh, something new is happening, because in America or in France, I think the 50s were very much like the 40s, because after the war, people tried to live again, but did not imagine, new design. But the 60s, you feel, oh, you have so many new design coming, and the idea of how to live, the progress. I love the fact these two women, they have perfect houses, super design, and the furniture and curtains are perfectly chosen. The dresses, there is something incredible in the 1960s dresses, and we had a very good costume designer, really, really good. We did a lot of vintage, research, and so we had real dresses from the 60s, and so yeah, I wanted things to be real and thinking, okay, I wanted to have the feeling, to be back there, and not. So I had a perfect, start. I wanted the film to be very, very real. My idea was not to make it not to push the effect too much anywhere. I wanted the film to be working because the actors will be good. So I didn't want the camera to be too much. I didn't want the shots to be too special. I wanted the design to be real, not because you can very quickly go too cliche, with the 60s. We've seen many movies where the 60s are so beautiful. It's like a museum of the 60s. But I wanted to be to reach the right level details to be right, and but without going too far, you know. So, to have feeling you're in a very, very banal suburb, the 60s. So it could happen to anybody. So I thought doing that, the film could be more universal. People could adapt it to, I thought many people in many different countries nowadays could relate to it. Could work in, I don't know, somewhere in suburbia in Argentina, or, in a, why not in China? Why not in Australia? So I wanted the film to be like, okay, it's you're looking at real life. Everything seems to be perfect and simple in a way, banal, mundane in a way. That was my plan. So, and same in terms of image. I didn't want to overdo it. I try to make it real. So because I think it's kind of film, if you make it like a thriller from the beginning, which I could have been doing, I think you lose a sense of surprise, in a way. So one of the things the producer wanted, they wanted people to be so surprised by the ending. One of the rules, the two actresses and the producer told me that we don't want, before things happen, we don't want to have any clues that, I would say, I guess we can talk about it, Celine's Revenge, The idea I wanted to make it like a family tragedy, very, very real. So when you want to do that, you need to have the details, perfect detail to production design, to, costume, and I guess all the look had to be right. But, I didn't want to overdo it. First, I didn't have the money to overdo it, so it was okay. But, and I wanted the actors to be more important than at the end, I don't want to have the attention on the curtain when you have Jessica Chastain in front of it, So I didn't push the colors too much. I didn't want anything to be too strong in the frame. My idea for me as a first director was also the actors had to be at the center of the shot.
Coming to these absolutely phenomenal performances from Jessica and Anne, I mean, I think there's something as an audience as well of just seeing two actresses who are just right at the top of their game, and perhaps we're used to sort of seeing them, leading. I know they've been in the same film before, but like seeing them side by side as well is already quite kind of magnetic. And then just the nuances that they bring to it. Were you expecting it to turn out how it did? How amazing was it seeing them perform together?
Well, I mean, I knew them from since a long time, so I'm feeling I know them maybe a bit better than I do know them, because also I've seen them in many movies. I didn't do, as an audience. So I know them so well. But the beauty with Jessica and Annie, and they are very different kind of actresses, and I think it's quite obvious in the film. And Jessica is someone, I guess, who has a more internal way of working, and trying is more minimalist way of acting, and she always tries to do less, that's one of her things. And I love that. And Annie has a different way, she's more kind of physical. She's going to use her arms and gesture more. It's very, very, so it's very interesting to watch, the two together. And because of this, they in a way they come from different school of acting, I would say. They are both, incredible, but I love the fact their goal as actresses is not exactly the same. There is something, sometimes it was difficult for me to balance the two, but I thought their characters are so different. I thought, I'm glad, I think they both show the right character, considering who they are as actresses. I think Jessica always wanted to do Alice, and I think Annie shows Celine, after, I think. But I'm glad, it has been done like this and not the reverse. Sometimes I thought, what about reversing the cast? Sometimes when I was editing the film, I thought, what about if Jessica had done Celine, and Anne, Alice? What kind of film would it be? And sometimes I was dreaming about. But for me, mainly, I can't say that I did direct them, because I think they are so good, and I knew they knew their character better than I did, in a way. They are both mothers, they they worked on the script before I arrived on the film. And I thought, okay, I just want to capture what they have to give for the character. I thought they had such a consistent idea of who they are in the film. I thought I didn't want to interfere too much, what they were giving to me. It's why I wanted the camera to be quite neutral, and I always try to separate them in the shots. I don't many times put them in the same shot. I thought I had to make the film really in kind of old school Hollywood way. I love the idea. I could always separate Jessica's close-up from Annie's close-up and play after in the editing. And I thought, because I was not sure I would be able to, in the same shot to get what I wanted. I thought maybe something too difficult as a young director. I always thought, let's be clever, as directors in the past would do. They always separate, the actresses in specific shots. So after I could play with their power on screen, and I discovered that in the editing, of course. But I mean, they are incredible together. But it was nice also to play with that in the cut. When should I stay on Annie? When should I stay on Jessica? And I discovered this in the cut. And this film, obviously, and there is something you can't plan. The way the relationship is changing. It was something difficult to do because I shot all in the wrong order. The film was shot is completely crazy chronological order because of the other actors' availability, because of the kids. So I had to do scenes in every place of the script, sometime in one day. So I thought, wow, it's going to be difficult to control. And so I think in the way I shot it, separate always the two actresses in different shots, helped me to build up something after. But the luck I had to do my first film with Anne and Jessica is incredible. I didn't plan it, so I can't say it was my idea. I jump on this film thinking I'm so lucky in a way, I'm there, I'm so lucky they offered me the film. It has been an incredible experience. And also I was still filming them, I was still operating the camera. And I think it certainly gave me more strength, because they trust me so much as a camera operator, as a cinematographer. I think it established some really strong thing together. Maybe sometimes they thought I was not the director I was they were expecting, I don't know. They are such incredible stars. They are movie stars. So maybe sometimes they thought I was not at the right level, who knows?
Oh, I doubt it. Well, congratulations on the film. I can't wait for everyone to see it who hasn't already in the cinema.